Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back into another edition of Jake's Takes. I am your host, Jake Masucci, and we got another Reaction Monday for you guys. We are going to talk about Michigan versus Duke. I'll deep dive it a little bit, discuss all the nuances I saw from the game, give you some overall thoughts, and then we're going to switch over and do the same thing for Arizona, Houston. Asher Smith and I talked about it last week that this Saturday was going to have some huge implications for college basketball. So I wanted to give you the whole breakdown, the whole shebang of both games, and give you guys any updated thoughts or some of the same thoughts that I've already had about these teams and really focus in on some of the best teams, I think, in college basketball. Like these teams have proven to be near the top in how they've played throughout the year. So without further ado, I'm going to cue the music. All right, welcome back into the show, and super excited to talk about Michigan Duke. This is the game we've been waiting for. What an unbelievable finish this was. Final score: Duke wins it 68-63. This was a crazy game, absolutely crazy game. Like the intensity of the game from the jump was just something that was just unbelievable and super fun to watch. So, set the scene a little bit. This was the Edward Jones Capitol Showcase, and this was in Washington D.C. Big time game. We've been waiting for this for a while. Michigan sitting at number one in the country, number one in net rating. Duke sitting at number three in the country, number two in net rating. Everybody's like, oh, Michigan's the best defensive team in the country. Duke's the second best defensive team in the country. And Asher and I talked about it last week. It was going to answer a lot of questions for us. So this was just a ridiculous game from the jump. Like I said, the physicality that was on display by these bigs are unbelievable. And it makes sense because we got NBA bigs on both teams going at each other. And it was so cool to see that level of physicality on display. So let's talk about it a little bit. I'm going to start with Duke here. Cameron Boozer, man, unbelievable. I've talked about it like all year how impressive this guy is, and he really showed up in this game. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 blocks, 4 offensive rebounds, was all over the place. He got in foul trouble. He was kind of dealing with it throughout the whole game, and then in the second half, he had 4 fouls and had to sit for a stint. And Duke did a fantastic job without him in that stage. But the thing that I found that was so much better from him was his ability to actually go through contact and make things happen. I did a breakdown last week, I believe, about his game against North Carolina, and I thought the main concern for him was in the late game situations, he tended to fade away from the contact and wasn't going into the contact. He did a fantastic job near the end of this game to go right into the contact to create a play. The goaltending near the end of the game. While I don't really believe that was goaltending, I think Mara actually got it on the way up. He did a fantastic job of going into Mara and then throwing it up and forcing Mara to make a play on the block. Or actually, I think he was going into Morez Johnson, and then Mara came in from help side guarding Ngamba. And that was the thing that was so impressive was like the stuff Shire was running for him just made it so much easier. Like they were, instead of running Cameron Boozer ISOs, that was really the only play that they ran a Cameron Boozer ISO near the end of the game. They would have Ngamba and Boozer in a horn set, try to get him up top, get him to catch the ball above the 3-point line, which gives Mara, your best big if you're Michigan, outside the paint, outside the 3-point line. And Ngamba had some unbelievable passes near the end of the game to hit back cutters for finishes around the rim. Isaiah Evans had a couple of layups around the rim. Caleb Foster had a couple of layups around the rim. And it really just made the offense so much easier because they took away the rim protection that is the biggest perk of Michigan. And it made it really, really difficult on them throughout the game. The other guy I wanted to talk about was Ngamba. He was unbelievable making those passes. And he was also unbelievable standing up to the physical test that is Michigan. two guys that I was really looking forward to the competition was Ngamba versus Merez Johnson, because to me they're both late first round bigs. You know, they're that talented of bigs. They're both sophomores. They're both young guys that have developed a little bit and have added polish to their games. Ngamba was going at it with Mara throughout the whole game. The physicality that those two were going on was awesome. Ngamba finished with 11 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He's a very, very good center, and he really showed it today. And like, I'm telling you, this is the first time I've ever seen Michigan be out rebounded this year. Duke had 41 rebounds, Michigan had 28 rebounds. And it was just tough for Michigan to get the shots that they wanted. They shot it at 40%. They were 24% from three, 6 of 25. The offense just didn't flow as much as I would like it to. You know, like I talked about it with the Michigan State reaction where they got it to two sides and the offense was flowing a lot better. It was really difficult for Michigan to get the shots that they wanted. And credit to Duke, like they forced a tough shot and then right away they were boxing out and getting defensive rebounds off of it. You're looking at Michigan's offensive rebound numbers. They had 8 offensive rebounds. Duke had 13 offensive rebounds. It's hard to win games when Duke's out rebounding you by 13. You know, to me, I still think actually Michigan has more talent than Duke and is probably the more talented team. But Duke was just really prepared for this game. I love the stuff Shire was running. Isaiah Evans was getting them going at the beginning of the game. He has the green light from three, and I thought he didn't shoot the ball well, 5 of 15 from the floor, 2 of 9 from three. But he really gives them a spark with the shooting. Like you got to respect it if you're Michigan because he can't have stretches where he gets so hot. So he's a guy that I'm really impressed with and I really like. And then I don't know if I'm going to say the name right, but number 14 on Duke was really good throughout the whole game. 6 points, 9 rebounds off the bench. Talk about a guy adding to your offensive rebound totals. Like he was a stud on the offensive rebounds. 3 offensive rebounds, 9 rebounds in the whole game in 24 minutes. Those are absolutely huge minutes to have from Duke. So I want to give credit to Duke. That was a really, really good performance. Let's switch over to Michigan. One of the pluses was Yaxel. Yaxel was awesome in this game. He played pretty much the whole game, 39 minutes. He had 21 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 16 points in the first half. It was kind of all over the place. He was hitting threes. He was hitting tough mid-range shots. You know, he was doing everything right. And then in the second half, like the ball just kind of got away from him. Michigan started taking some tough shots. They weren't getting it side to side, kind of like I talked about earlier. One guy that really struggled was Cadeau. He was 1 for 8, 1 for 6 from three. He just didn't really seem comfortable throughout the whole game. You know, he started out missing some of his shots. Then he had the injury with the stinger in his arm. It was good that he was able to come back in the game. He just didn't seem comfortable. It seemed like he was pressuring himself a lot. Being a guy that used to be at North Carolina, he was probably super hyped for this game. So, you know, like having not played his best is something I'm going to be watching to see if he responds and bounces back mentally from that, because that's a tough blow when probably your biggest rival throughout your whole college career and you don't show up and you get to play him at a different school as well. So that's kind of tough when it comes to Cadeau. Burnett wasn't very good. He was 0 for 3 from three, and I didn't really notice him that much defensively. Some positives were Kaysen and McKinney. McKinney really struggled offensively, was 1 of 6, but I really liked the energy he brought defensively, added 2 steals for them. And then Kaysen came in and was a really good scoring boost for them off the bench. I thought Rodney Gale also played pretty well defensively. I was kind of shocked they didn't go to any of these guards near the end of the game. I thought they tried to rely on Burnett a little too much in this game when I thought he clearly didn't have it, and trying to rely on either Kaysen, Gale, or McKinney. McKinney played near the end of the game. Gale came in for defense near the end of the game. They kind of went away from Kaysen, which was a little shocking for me after the first half because I thought he was doing some good stuff with his scoring in the first half. But, you know, like credit to those guards coming off the bench. I thought they had good games. And then Mara, I thought Mara did play pretty well. You know, Duke really put him in tough situations. Like bringing him outside, he's not going to be the type of guy to move super fast and then crash and hit somebody from the 3-point line, right? If you get him out of the paint, then it's going to be very difficult for him to get back inside and get back in position to go make a play, right? When he was inside, he made it very difficult for Duke players to score on the first go around. He had 2 blocks inside and was really good. And then when he decided to just score, he could score at will because there weren't really double teams coming at him. He had 10 points, was 4 for 4 from the floor, and he had some great hook shots. I thought he probably should have looked for his offense a little more because I did feel like when he was in there and when they had him one on one, he had a couple of shoulders like right into the lane, little hook, and it was really nice for him. That was some I was looking at where I was like, okay, maybe you could have done this a little bit more, throughout the game. The last guy from Michigan, Merez Johnson, he was awesome. Okay, he is a really, really good piece for Michigan. He continues moving up on my board. 3 blocks, 13 points, 6 rebounds. He just spreads the floor really well, and he took the challenge of guarding Boozer. Now, did he do a great job? I don't know. But it's also Cameron Boozer who's the best player in college basketball to me. Like if he stamped his name on the Wooden Award, like he for sure did it after this game. If people were questioning about it, like he's definitely the Wooden Award guy now. And Morez, I thought was right there. He made it really difficult for Boozer, especially on the first jump. Like he would jump his first move, and Boozer would have to make a quick decision. And credit to Boozer, every time they had quick doubles at him, he made a quick decision and made the right decision. Like 7 assists, man. Like I'm telling you guys, he's a really, really good passer and a really, really fast processor of the game, which is super impressive. I thought Johnson was really good on the defensive end. He was scoring at a really good clip. He had a big 3 near the end of the game to keep Michigan in the game. I really, really like Morez Johnson. He is a fun guy to watch. I thought Mara played well. Yaxel played well. They just needed more out of Cadeau. They needed more out of Burnett. And the shooting just wasn't there for Michigan. It really wasn't. And also the free throw shooting, like they started out, I believe it was 1 for 6. I saw the free throw stats in the first half. You can't start out that way, especially in a game that matters this much near the end. Like you knew this was going to be a street fight. You knew this was going to be like, okay, these are 2 like championship contending teams going at each other. Like this is an important game. We got to do all of the little things right. Right. So looking at these teams overall, okay, for Duke, this answers a lot for me. Like I had some reservations after the North Carolina game. Like, oh, is this team going to struggle in the clutch? Is there going to be problems here? I think John Shire is learning and he's starting to put people in the right spots. His game plan for going up against those bigs, Mara, Morez, and Yaxel, was beautiful. That's the first time I've ever seen those bigs get out rebounded like that. It's the first time, in fact, like when I've been watching Michigan basketball, and yes, I haven't caught every game, but that's the first time I've seen him out rebounded, just in general. I thought it was an unbelievable game plan by Shire. He put people in the right positions. The guards looked a lot better. Caleb Foster played good. Sarr, I wanted to see a little more from Sarr. Like some of the things I like with him is his energy. It was a reason why I circled him early in the season because I really liked his energy. He's got an NBA build, all of that stuff. I wanted to see a little more from him. He wasn't really doing much throughout the game, but they didn't really need him to, and that's a credit to Caleb Foster. It's a credit to number 14 off their bench. It's a credit to Malik Brown, all these guys that are making plays and doing stuff the right way and like just following the game plan to its exact what Shire wants it to be, right? And yeah, credit to Duke here. Really just an unbelievable win. And it's definitely gonna put them like number 1 in the country, right? Now it's so now you got to run through the ACC, get that going, and then you'll be number 1. And you got to have those type of game plans every single time in March, right? The ACC, I think a lot of people before this game were like, okay, like you haven't really played that great of competition moving into these games. You lost to North Carolina when you had a big time game here. So can you do it against a big time opponent? Guess what? They just did it against a big time opponent. Now, can the same preparation move into March, move into the ACC tournament and get them ready to go, right? Michigan. Okay. Tough loss here. It was the first time you went against some real NBA bigs and felt it, right? So that means that you got to get your guys ready to go for that type of game, right? You're going up against a Duke who have good college big, or sorry, you're going up against a Purdue who have good college bigs, but aren't necessarily like the level of physicality that Duke's going to bring you, right? You're going up against a team like even Illinois, who doesn't really have the physicality that Duke's going to bring towards you, right? So once you get in those Final Four games and you're going up against a team like North Carolina, who's got two NBA bigs, you're going up against a team that like Duke, who has two NBA bigs, you're going up against a team like Houston, who has a ton of physical players throughout their whole lineup, right? You're going up against a team like Arizona, who's got Koa P and all of their physical bigs as well. You got to be ready to go up against them and take the beating and take that challenge, right? Even if you don't shoot well like today. Like I still think Michigan is easily the most talented team in college basketball. They got to be able to grind those out, not get destroyed on the glass by 10 rebounds, and be able to not shoot well and still win the game, right? Those are the type of things you're talking about now. And now you have it on paper. It's probably a good thing you lost to Wisconsin when they hit 15 threes. It's probably a good thing that you actually got outplayed in a game because you actually get to sit down, watch the film, learn from it, figure out what box outs we're missing, figure out like the small stuff. Because this game, although it was super cool seeing a Final Four preview in February, just like Asher and I talked about, it's all a learning experience, right? It's not March yet. So you got to see a Final Four atmosphere a month before March. This is something that the Michigan players can take notes from, get ready to go, be ready for March, and get going the right way. So both these teams, really credit to them. This was just an unbelievable basketball game. All right, let's continue. Let's talk about Arizona versus Houston. Unbelievable win for Arizona. And of course, it happens right after I talk badly about them and uh, the podcast with Asher and my reel. Of course, that happens, but that's how it goes. Unbelievable win for Arizona, winning this game 73-66. It's Houston's second home loss. And since they've joined the Big 12 in 2023, I believe the record ESPN showed was 41-2, which is just flat out insane. Kind of the standout performances here for Arizona. How about Anthony Del Risso? He was unbelievable off their bench, scoring 22 points, tying his career high for, I believe the broadcast said, his third different time scoring 22 points. He can't break that 22 points, but he's unbelievable. He came in, really gave them a great spacing option. He scored 22, was 8 for 14 from the floor, 2 threes as well. He's kind of been their guy for a little bit here, the last 2 games, scoring 22 points, and he's mainly like kind of like your shooter that you'd see. He had one play off of a blob where they set 2 guys set a down screen for him, and he was able to get a 3 off of that. He really gives them a spacing look. The thing I talked about with Arizona on the last pod, of course, was the thing that I was concerned of was their shooting. Well, he hit 2 of their 3 threes today, which he's a big piece for that. And he had 4 steals in this game. He was kind of all over the place defensively, was really locked in on the game plan, and was getting in the passing lanes really well. Concerning that he went down with that ankle injury near the end of the game and it seemed kind of bad. I'm hoping for him that he doesn't miss much time because I think he is a huge piece for them as they're already struggling with some injury concerns here. Some other storylines for Arizona in this game. I think it was Chenkov. I think that was the pronunciation I tried to practice before, but he was great in this game. He played 39 minutes pretty much the whole game. And this guy is like their engine defensively. He doesn't get much love, but he is really their engine defensively. He finished with 16 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 offensive rebounds in this game, was really getting to the glass really well. And he did a fantastic job on Flemings. He made it tough on Flemings. Flemings was 6 of 17 in this game and really made it difficult for any of Houston's guards to score. He was all over the place. I was really impressed with him. He's had games where I've really seen it and been like, okay, like this guy's pretty good. This was the best I've seen him play. He was unbelievable all over the place. He played a little bit professionally in Europe, and he's coming in as a freshman this year. He's just showing how valuable he is to this team. Like this guy is like the engine where you'd be like, okay, like depending on how he plays will probably be how Arizona looks. He seems to be like that kind of backbone for them. Another interesting thing for Arizona was their bigs dealt with a lot of foul trouble. That was Krivas and Awaka both struggled. Only playing Krivas played 25 minutes and then Awaka played 17 minutes. And Arizona was okay, no Koa Pete either in this game, and they were okay able to go to different big guys that they needed to, and they were able to still stay afloat in the rebounding battle against an unbelievable team like Houston, only losing by 2, which is just a great stat for them. Going into it, when you're thinking, oh, they're already without Pete, they're already without some of their inside scoring, and they were great. The other guy I really wanted to shout out in this game was Shaden Bradley. He hit the biggest shot of the game near the end, that turnaround fadeaway after Flemings hit a big three to make it I believe it was a 3-point game, and then Bradley hits that shot, and the game just felt over after that point. Bradley had 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 6 of 17 from the floor. For some reason, was not hitting his free throws in this game, but he's just such a huge player for them. He's in the Wooden Award watch right now. He's been great throughout the year, averaging about 14 points a game. He is really a huge engine. He's a senior guard, he's kind of like their leader in the locker room. So he's the type of guy where it's just like, okay, they're going to ride and die with him. Braden Burries was definitely an interesting storyline in this game. The broadcast was talking about how he had like flu-like symptoms before the game, and a lot of people were talking about, oh, he might not play in this game. And he ended up playing. He scored 7 points, and he played 31 minutes. So that is very impressive. I'm not going to get I'm not going to give him too much credit, and I'm not going to give him too much slack for this performance. I did like how he competed and how hard he played. And if he was sick, this is a solid game for you while you were sick. So good job by Burries there. And looking at it for Arizona, just an unbelievable win. I'm super impressed with how they were able to come together and win this game. My overall thoughts, I'll get to my overall thoughts in a little bit. Let's switch over to Houston a little bit. Um, this was just a really rough performance for them. They kind of got out of rhythm really early. When I turned on the game, I was coming home from practice and I turned on the game probably like 5 minutes after it started. And it felt like all of their players were already in foul trouble. Flemings had 2 early fouls. Sacco had 2 early fouls. Tugler had 2 early fouls. Emmanuel Sharp had 2 early fouls. And I was just like, man, what's going on? It just got them completely out of rhythm. They ended up shooting in this game 36% from the field. They did hit some threes. Sharp hit a couple, and then Uzam was actually pretty good shooting throughout the game. But it just didn't feel good throughout the whole game. Houston fell off. Like Tugler couldn't play most of the second half. And when Tugler's out of the game, Houston's like a different team because Tugler provides so much energy. Sacco is a fantastic rim protector, but overall on defense, if you get him off of a switch or anything like that, he's not the greatest. And he's not the same offensive threat either. Tugler will have moments where he can hit you with a floater, he can hit you with different things. Him only playing 18 minutes, it's just not going to win you games, And I think Asher and I talked about it last year. Tugler had this problem with fouling out so much last year. So him being in foul trouble and only playing 18 minutes is kind of what killed this game to me because like his energy and his volume, he had 3 offensive rebounds and 4 rebounds on the game. So like he just gives their offense second chances. He's able to get Fleming's better looks. He's able to get Emmanuel Sharp better looks. He's able to get Uzam better looks and just makes the offense flow a lot better. So that was my main concern with Houston there. Talking about some of the guys, Kingston Fleming, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. I thought he had some moments of doing some great things throughout this game, but I did not think this was one of my favorite games I've seen from Flemings. He was able to get downhill a few times with his stop-start moves, which was fantastic. And then there were other times, like especially late in the game, where he was just like forcing those threes. All 4 of his 3-point attempts came near the end of the game. So I'm looking at it with Flemings, and I'm like, when it's not really your game, let's try to get it to some other people. Let's try to see who can make some shots. Uzan actually like shot it well. He was 3 for 5 from three. I would have liked them to try to get Uzan off of some floppy action or something like that near the end of the game to try to get a better shot off. Looking at Emmanuel Sharp, I thought he played fantastic defense in this game and really was able to get to the line a lot. He just didn't shoot it well. He was 2 for 11. That happens. He takes some really, really tough threes that I say okay to because he's Emmanuel Sharp, but it was something where I was just like, okay, like these are a little bit too much. Like, why are we trying to take that? I want to talk about CNAC a little bit. He was fantastic rebounding. He shows so much energy and so much grit on some of his rebounds. He had one rebound where he was on like the left elbow area, and the ball goes up. It's a missed shot. He tips it over the rim and then catches it on the other side of the rim. So if he was on like the left elbow, he finished on the right block, rebounding it, tapping it from the left block to the right block, and then just out speeding everybody to grab the rebound. It was an unbelievable rebound. His rebounding is something that makes a lot of NBA scouts be like, wow, like if we could have this guy play this energy, it's awesome. My concern with CNAC is there are a lot of shots where I'm just like, why the hell are you taking this shot? Like, it's really bad shot selection. In this game, he was 4 for 11, 0 for 5 from three. I don't trust his 3-point shot at all. He actually has a solid percentage from three, but his shot is very too motiony, and it's really just not my favorite thing in the world. And I feel like the ball just stops when it's in his hand, and I've never been a fan of ball stoppy type guys. And I feel like when Houston is trying to play through CNAC, I don't feel like they get the best offensive opportunities from. So what I would like to see CNAC do more is actually just go to the rim and go through people and use a physicality. I think Koa Pete actually does a fantastic job of doing that and play almost like that because he's a fantastic big. He really is. The fact that he wants to shoot as many jumpers as he does, I don't like. I actually think his shot goes in the mid-range. I don't mind him taking some mid-range shots, but I also would like him to keep the defense honest by going through people and being inside. Last thing on Houston, Sacco and Harwell, they're two bench players. Sacco, again, great rim protector. I want him to, be a little bit more like use your length a little bit more. Like, yes, he's not the quickest guy on his feet, but I want him to use his length and try to get into passing lanes a little bit more. He wasn't really the greatest in that aspect, and he wasn't really the greatest on the glass either. I felt like Arizona had a lot of their offensive rebounding opportunities when Sacco was in the game. Isaiah Harwell, I'm expecting a lot more from him. He really just seemed out of place throughout the whole game. It didn't feel like he was getting in the right spots. There's one play where Fleming's yelled at him after the play because he just wasn't in the right spot and he threw a terrible pass and turned it over. It was a really rough turnover. So Harwell, there's a lot of young mistakes that I'm seeing from him. He's definitely going to be a guy I'm circling to watch in the future because I do like some of the talent that he has. But I just feel like he should be playing a lot better than he is. And, it's a little disappointing looking at it from that end. So closing thoughts on these two teams, Arizona here, really, really impressive win. I'm super pumped for Arizona. This is an unbelievable win. And if you guys think, hey, is Jake changing his tune on him? This made me respect him a little more, but when it comes to March, I don't change my tune at all. They need Del Rosso. If Del Rosso is out long term, that is a killer loss because they need to have shooting. They were still 3 of 12 from three in this game. I'm telling you, if JoJo Tugler plays this whole game, this is a different game. I think Houston wins the game. The foul trouble that Houston had throughout the whole game just absolutely killed their rhythm. I still truly believe that Houston is a better basketball team than Arizona. I felt the same way when Arizona went to UConn and was able to get the W against UConn. I felt like UConn was still the better basketball team than Arizona. I think Arizona is a fantastic basketball team and is a super deep team that makes plays and has had some unbelievable gritty wins throughout the whole year. But to me, they're tier 2. And to me, the talent level that Houston has makes them tier 1. And I feel like they're going through some very difficult losing spreads and some of the losses that they've had. But I'm very excited to see Arizona in their next couple games. They get Kansas later, a Kansas team that I think they're better than. Kansas had a tough loss at the beginning of the day against Cincinnati, who came into Fog Allen and won that game. And then Arizona's also got later in the year Iowa State, which I think that Iowa State game is going to be an unbelievable game. So Arizona is going to continue to get some big time wins and probably continue to prove me wrong. But for me, I think Houston long term is a better bet. They have more guys. I do think this was just a weird night where a lot of their guys got into foul trouble and got them out of rhythm. Ton of credit to Arizona, though. Unbelievable win for them. All right. That is going to wrap up the show for today. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, wherever you're at. Please go like, subscribe on YouTube. Go do what you got to do there. And then give us those 5 stars on Spotify. So, looking at the schedule this week, we're going to be back for our Tuesday episode, which will be draft show. We're going to be talking about NFL draft things. And then we will not have a guest this week. So it'll just be the Monday, Tuesday show. And we'll get back with a guest for the next week's episode. So just Monday, Tuesday this week. So I will catch you guys later. Peace.